You're welcome. You're welcome. That's why I'm here, to make dreams come true. So I saw this today and I just wanted to kind of chit chat a little bit about old World of Warcraft. The old World of Warcraft. This was just one of the launchers, the downloaders. We have this version. Um, there's this one, and here's the launcher right here. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how many launchers we've had, how many downloaders we've had. Back when you kind of had to, you know, physical copies because online copies weren't really a thing, but they still had that stuff online for in case something was wrong with the disc. Um, I remember getting BC and I got it just fine, installed fine. Um, like there was the game code and all that you can do for a digital download, but you know, and then I got Wrath on my birthday when the game came out. I mean, it came out that year, but I had to wait a little bit. So I got it on my birthday. I remember my birthday consisted of me going to Walmart, picking up Wrath, and then trying to install it. And for some reason, one of the discs wasn't just. It was just like, nope, sorry, error. Luckily enough, you just go to the website and just download it. Um, but that's how I spent my 21st birthday, was playing World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King, on my crappy computer that could barely handle it. Um, a lot of good memories with WoW though. I mean, I remember I'm playing WoW when I was living in New Jersey. Uh, my dad, for some reason, didn't set up the internet right, or whatever the case was. So I was bartering the freaking internet off a guy who lived like 100 feet away. I was somehow able to play World of Warcraft all the time, despite the fact that his house was, you know, you probably would need binoculars to see the guy in his house if you wanted to do that. Somehow I was able to pick up its Wi-Fi. And this was back in like 2007, 2008. So the fact that I was that far away, actually, no, it was before that, because Wrath hadn't come out. I was in Jersey. So this was like 2007. So we were still playing Burning Crusade. But yeah, like the dude was so far away, and I was able to pick up his Wi-Fi. Now it would drop once in a while, but for the most part, it was actually really reliable. I was actually pretty astounded that this dude who, there was our house, and then this huge field, just massive field all the way down, and then 100 feet away or so, or 200 feet away, there was another house. And it's like, wow, how am I able to pick this? It was like one or two bars, but still, that was enough to let me play games. And so I remember 2006, 2007, having to, off the dude's Wi-Fi because you know, my dad didn't want to set it up, or he could, whatever the case. I don't even remember what the case was, but yeah, a lot of long and the days where I couldn't play. Me and my friend would just kind of sit on the phone. She'd be playing, and all I would hear, well, we were dating at the time, but all I would hear from her side is, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm playing WoW. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm running a dungeon. And like every time we would talk, when we first start talking, she'd be running dead mines. Because those are the miners and the dead mines. You kill them, they're like, so like every night, and it seemed to go on for like an hour or two, because back then it did take like an hour or two to get through the dead mines. That place was dangerous. Nowadays, you just go and fucking slap everything silly, just get out of my way. But back then, you actually had to think, and plan, and strategize, and crowd control. People forget what crowd control is, but you had to do it. You had to do it. Otherwise, um, this was before the days of Dungeon Finder. where if someone went to the dungeon, you guys had your group at the dungeon, and you were going through and you wiped, and some person was just like, oh well, I'm not gonna wait anymore. I'm tired of wiping. I'm fine. Then it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go back to the capital city and look for someone else. After a while, people started having just people on standby, in case someone left, they could just have someone on standby. Hey, just in case someone leaves. So that way, there's no real interruption. I mean, there would be interruption because you'd all have to run out, unless you had a warlock. If you didn't have a warlock, you'd have to run out, go to the summoning stone, and summon that person. But if you had a warlock, you could just summon them straight to you. But people would have friends on standby, and just because of the whole, well, now I have to go back to the capital city and look, dead mines need one healer, then good to go, and people were just tired. So I'm glad they introduced Dungeon Finder, because some people don't have 3-4 hours to wait. I also found a few, like this. This was GM Island, and yes, GM Island is a real place, and since you have to exploit and kind of manipulate the game, you would be banned for this. And there's music over it. I don't know if it's free music, so I just but you got game cam right there. Basically you had to do it with a class 1 that could heal. Because you'd eventually be going into a fatigue area. And then you would start slowly losing health. So having the ability to heal and keeping yourself healed was imperative. Wow. 480? Oh no. What's it look like on 240? Oh yeah, there we go. That's what I remember. Oh, that's good. And then this is GM Island. So GM Island. Hey, I'm on GM Island. I don't know how I got here. I don't know what happened. I was just wandering about. Now, there are some private servers that use GM Island as like a place where you'll go where they'll have like, vendors. This area of the game is a serious problem. Oh no. Oh no. Yes. Oh yes. We're very sorry. We're going to ban you for life. Please don't ban me, Mr. GM, sir. There's someone ratting him out, thinking it's going to save them. I'm going to move you away now. We'll contact you about any penalties in an email. But, don't do it, my friend. Got teleported to, Darnassus, looks like. Discover Darnassus. Yeah. I recognize that ground anywhere. Look at how greatly textured that is. Look at it. Look at it. There's someone else there. Ban them too. Then I think it shows them, yeah, getting banned. Disconnected from the server. Yeah. So they got a ban. Yeah, you're not allowed on GM Island. There's a reason why it's far, far, far the edge of the map, because you're not supposed to go there. There was that stuff back in the day. There was this stuff back in the day. These gold generators. They also had like game time generators. But they would say, like, this, the info must be valid. If not, the gold bot can't find you. Gee, I wonder why the thing needs to be valid. So anyone who downloaded this back in the day, I mean, back in the day, gold was hard to get. Nowadays, it's in abundance. Um, but this was a huge thing back in the day because there really wasn't a lot of optimal ways of making gold, and everything was just so expensive, like your mounts and all that. Between mounts and gear, if you weren't able to raid or anything, you were having to buy it, and it just got really, really expensive, like $5,000 for riding. And but they did this a lot for people. Basically, it was like phishing type thing where they got control of your account. Um, Also, the that's how it looked sometimes in game. This is how it kind of looked in Zangermarsh, where it was so laggy back then because the computers weren't that great, and Zangermarsh had such high amount of crap, like the giant the mushrooms. There were so many of them that it lagged, and that's how when I say it looks like a, like not a snapshot, a slideshow, like a slideshow of photos. That's what I'm talking about. Like sometimes it would be even worse than that. Like you think this is bad. It was actually worse than that. And it looked like a slideshow. You just see like every second you just see, a different sort of motion. And that's how WoW was back then. Um there was also a lot of like exploration stuff. I remember, what was it in, was it Teldrassil? Like a little hill in Teldrassil, there was like a glowy green thing of smoke, and we're like, oh, that's the portal to the Emerald Dream. Okay, so the green smoke, Emerald Dream 3.3.5. As you can see right there, and you would go over there, and people were like, oh my god, it's a portal to the Emerald Dream. Now, I don't think it was anyone actually found out what this thing was for. Why there was just a random puff of green smoke. But everyone thinking that it was a portal to the Emerald Dream, and yet you saw what you have to do to get to there. So if it was a portal to the Emerald Dream, they wouldn't put in such a out of place. They would use the portals that they have, guarded by the nightmare dragons. Since those big portals lead to the Emerald Dream, why would they make like? Also, when was this? 14 years ago. Wow, that's insane. But yeah, there was this Ajara. But yeah, there was that green portal, the Emerald Dream. Uh, what other things were there? Let's see. We showed this. Oh yeah, one of the channels that you probably remember from back in the day. Hang on. So there was this channel, Resnick Shaman. Climb on top of Gurubashi Arena, under Ogrimmar, Stone Talon Mountains, climb exploration. I think this dude was doing this before really anyone else. Um, like the exploration stuff like that. Um, Deadwind Pass, Both the Lost Path patch, Secret Badlands Crypt, Karazhan Smiley, Chinaris Isle. I think he was probably one of the first ones to make a name for himself doing this stuff. He also started like with modding type things like Winter and Azeroth, where basically everything was just white covered in snow. You know, um, stuff like that. This was Haven, and I say was because unfortunately he's no longer with us. But even as you can see, 11 years ago was when he started. This guy doing 15 years ago. But Haven Games, in fact, this one still gets comments. Like it's crazy that this guy. Wow, it's been 8 years. Fuck, he died 8 years ago. So he died 8 years ago, and yet people are still coming back. Like, hey, Haven, the new expansion's coming out. You know, they talk about the lore and like how much they miss him, and like, oh, I don't know who you are. You just, but you know, you seem really cool, and it's a shame you're gone. It's crazy. It, but yeah. So this guy though was like one of the OG ones, and I'm sure you've seen if you're a WoW fan, you've seen some of his stuff at some point. You know, it got passed around all the time, especially because I think he started also making his own custom zones and stuff like that. Actually, let's see. Latest. Wrath of the Lich King graphics boost AI upscale. WoW experiments. Troll female. Ugh, I think it's so ugly. Old Hyjal. Graphics boost. Where is it? Dinaris in the Storm. Yeah, basically Eye of the Storm, but just like Daenerys. So it's really cool stuff. And like I said, there was the like the winter in Azeroth or whatever it was called, Winter of the Ancients, unreleased instances. So like I said, you've probably World of Snowcraft, Rosamar. So this is, you know, the stuff he did. He makes little zones and redoes zones and simple little texture like this, and which I like with textures like especially like these, but having everything white, that's not what a winter wonderland's going to look like. Not everything is going to be white. You know, this is when you go in with custom stuff and make it to where looks like it has a thing of snow on it. It just kind of makes it look like it's textureless. You know, like this. Like, come on, that whole, come on. I got World Snowcraft. Like this. Like that's how it's supposed to kind of be. It's like not everything's going to be pure white. But yeah, that, you know, there's Haven. Like he's one of the reasons why I wanted to do WoW like exploration videos back in the day, which I did. I did. Um because I saw those and I was like, well, that's really cool. You know, kind of peeling back and seeing the smoke and mirrors that Blizzard puts in to make it seem like the world is alive and there, especially in dungeons. How much of an area they cut out so that way when you look out you can see that area. It's like, well, how far does the area actually go? Well, if you're clever enough you can escape and see how far. um but I did exploration videos back in the day all the time, like when I first started. But yeah, Geom Island, the just memory lane, Memory lane. But that's the whole point. You also had a lot of music coming around this time, like Oxhorn and other creators, Nim. Um, but I I just miss it. I just miss old World of Warcraft. I really do. You know, Classic just doesn't capture the magic anymore, and even when they try it with the new expansions, like the lore is great, and that's why I keep coming back to it, is the lore, but the gameplay, it's pretty much the same. I mean, I'm happy we have like dynamic flying. I mean, that really helps things out, especially when you're like me and you've done these quests so many times in old areas. Instead of, you're just like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. You're like fucking playing, Fruit Ninja, just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Um, but as for the actual innovation, it's like, they don't keep their word. They'll say, oh yeah, this is going to be in the game, but then they never deliver. But and I've also said I just hate being the hero, the chosen one. I just want to go back to being an adventurer, traveler, going different places, helping out, learning things along the way. But no, it's like, oh, only you can defend Azeroth from our threats. Only you can do it, hero of Azeroth. Um, champions, you must defend Azeroth. You are the chosen heroes. After all, Doomhammer wouldn't just pick anyone. You have been chosen. So I don't want to be a chosen one. I don't want to fight cosmic threats. I just want to be an adventurer. Take Candle. That's like the biggest threat I want to deal with. Or Hogger. Or, something like that. I don't want to deal with cosmic level threats, gods and titans. I just want to go into a cave and just, take Candle. That's all I really want. I just want to be a traveler, a hero, not a hero, just an adventurer. Roughing it outside, making potions and never using them. Having to make a campfire to stay warm. Just I don't want to be a galactic hero. But anyway, those days are long gone, even with classic WoW. Anyway, yeah. You guys got some nostalgia, some videos I'm sure you might have seen possibly in the past. Some old downloaders and launchers, but let me know what you remember most of those days. Like I said, for me, it would be the fact that I was doing all this while bartering the internet off of some guy like 200 feet away, and somehow it worked. But anyway, that's gonna do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.